2 successes, 110. Roll.
It'd be 4 successes for me.
Oh, well, cool.
3 for me.
3 for you. So, Alvin, you're down the street and you're playing this hand of cards, and you're finishing up, and you're like, boom, you're taking a trick, and you know that noise. That is the noise of glass breaking. That is the noise of somebody breaking some glass, and not like in the like somebody threw something, but like somebody is breaking into a place at this point in time. It's 3 a.m. You're usually not awake at this time. You're not a person who stays up all night.
Yes.
So with 3 success, with Alvin is, but with 3 successes, Rosalina like hears this and wakes up out of bed and is like, that is the sound of glass breaking and somebody coming into the bodega. Like you're in the apartment in the back, but you know the sound of that from like a side entrance, like that somebody just broke some glass in your place, and you can kind of hear like the lingering amount of footsteps.
I hop up out of bed, throw on throw on my jacket, grab my pistol, and head in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Alvin will tap the table, like, and get everybody's attention.
Okay.
And he'll grab some people and head on over.
So 2 of the people run back to the houses to go like get other arms because people are breaking in. They want to make sure they have other stuff. But you got like 2 or 3 other people with you, and you've got like that classic kind of like people picking up like items along the way. So you've got like some sticks, sharp sticks. Some people might have some knives. Nobody's carrying a gun at this point in time. That's not really the attitude of the era. So it's some weapons, but it's not like we're about to have a firefight in the middle of the city type situation right now. I mean, it might happen. Rosalina might just start blasting. Like I don't know what's about to happen.
Shit happens.
Next, that's just how these games go. Shit happens. But so you hear this noise. You can hear somebody at the cooler, and it is very clear that they're not really paying attention to you. Like they're at the cooler, and they are just, it seems that they have like a gallon of milk, and they're just trying to drink it as much as like just down it as much as possible.
Milk. Okay. She steps out. She she has good trigger discipline. First roll firearms, don't point it at something you don't intend to kill. So it's like down towards the ground, but it is loaded. She's just walking forward.
Like,
what's going on?
They don't like jump out or anything. Like if you just say what's going on, they don't seem to be paying attention to you. If you want to make an investigation check, like a wits investigation roll real quick,
I'd love to. Yeah,
I can let you know what's going on.
Investigation, 3. 6 dice.
Nice.
That one's cocked.
You roll it then. Much like the hammer on your weapon, it is cocked.
Yes. That's just 2 successes.
So with 2 successes, what you will notice is they broke this glass, and they didn't open the door. They climbed through like the window area. And this person or persons has like cut themselves up a bit and made their way like immediately over to like the beverage area. Like, and you saw them down the milk, and they just grab another beverage out of like the cooler. It's not even milk again. It's like a bottle of like nice water, and they start, or I guess it wouldn't be nice water at this time period. So it's like a soda, and they pop that open and start drinking it. And you kind of hear that like they keep saying it burns, it burns, it burns. Like, and they just kind of keep repeating that as they keep trying to drink. You kind of recognize this person as one of like the transients you hadn't seen in a few weeks, but they look a little more emaciated than the last time you saw them, and their clothes aren't really sitting on them right, and they just look off. They don't look like, the one thing about town is like there's some churches around town. Alvin's a nice dude. People tend to try to take care of people even if they're passing through here, especially other people of color. this person has not been taken care of. Like, you haven't seen them in a couple weeks. Like, you couldn't remember their name off the top of your head if you like, unless you want to make like a memory check. But like, they don't look in good shape, and they just aren't. They don't seem to be in a good place. If that makes sense.
Actually, can I roll to see if I know this person's name, and B, if this person had like a substance problem?
Sure.
Because it feels like one of those things. Like, if you're in a community long enough, everyone just sort of knows. It's not like a judgment thing, but like,
yeah, it's
people know stuff.
It's an intelligence plus composure for memory checks.
Plus composure. That's another 6 dice. Okay.
I'm gonna say it's 2 difficulty to remember their name and 3 difficulty to know if they had a substance problem or not. So if you get 2, you're gonna remember their name. If you get 3, you're like, this person did or didn't have a substance problem.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Let's see. Ooh, okay. All right, so that's 2 successes. One of them is a 10, so I'm re-rolling. That's a 2. So just the 2 successes.
Just the 2 successes. You remember their name. It's Larry. You couldn't remember their last name. It's never really important, but it was Larry. Larry came in and bought some things when people gave him a little bit of cash. Larry never bought. The one thing I will remember is Larry didn't buy alcohol. So if
Recognize, like, it's not holstered, but I am holding it like behind my leg as I'm walking, like the other hand like stretched out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Larry, what's going on? If you needed something, you could have knocked. There's a bell. What's up? I'm walking up to him. I'm gonna like try to put my hand on his shoulder.
Do you say that loudly or firmly, or you just kind of say it at normal tone?
Like enough that he can like hear me over like the weird, like the buzz of the fridge, but not loud. Just like trying like reassuringly, because like there's obviously something weird going on.
Yeah, you get the vibe that he is not hearing you right now. Like, he's got that, like, you have seen addiction. He's got almost like that addiction like focus, like somebody who's in an addiction stupor, but it doesn't need to be focused for like a drug. He just keeps repeating that it's burning and keeps trying to drink something. Like anything. It's like he's finished up like the soda and he's moved on to like another item in the fridge cabinet. He's just trying to drink it. And he keeps just repeating that it's burning. At about this time, Alvin, you see you see the door, you see the front door. You can tell that somebody didn't open this, but like somebody came through it. Like, you've seen somebody come through a large window in a door before. There's a little bit of blood. You've got a couple homies with you, and you can kind of see in that area. King is closing. King, I'm gonna say, is out the bar and locking it up, and you see Alvin at the front of the bodega. With like 3 or 4 people with them. Some of them got like, a pool cue or like a tire iron type situation, like tire iron type situation. They got like a tire iron or like a table leg situation where like they're armed. They're not like clearly about something about bad about him, but there are armed people in front of the bodega. It's really weird.
Ruiz raised the price of sandwich number 3. What's going on?
Yeah, haven't walked all the way over here and hasn't heard a gunshot yet. Alvin will shout into the bodega. Charlie, you all right?
Yeah, it's Larry. I don't know what's up. Yeah. Just come in, but don't hurt him. And I'm gonna take like a wide circle around Larry, to unlock and like fully open the door, so like Alvin and the folks behind him can like see what's going on.
Yeah.
And everyone on the block knows that Chow carries and has a license. She does, anyone who is interested, she does teach them how to like clean and take care of guns.
Mm-hmm. So Charo opens up the door, and King can see a guy he probably doesn't know unless he took track of the transients. You heard about the transients, but unless you pay attention to the transients, it's this very emaciated looking dude who's like just like it looks like he's got like a gallon of milk that's splashed out in front of him, some soda bottle empty there, and he's like reaching into the freezer, not the freezer, the refrigerator, and taking out another beverage and trying to drink it. And like they don't look like they're in great shape, be it emotionally or physically. They just don't look good either way. So,
oh shit. You want help over there?
Larry, what's going on?
You hear somebody ask if you guys need help from outside the bodega. And it's the neighborhood, so some of the people with Alvin probably call you over, like more the merrier situation. It's not one of those like issues. Like if does Alvin get like up next to Larry and like kind of like engage Larry like you spoke louder than Chara was speaking to you, like kind of engage in that louder kind of like take up space next to...
Yeah, trying to get Larry's attention.
Okay. Larry kind of looks up to you like lost for a little bit and is like, it won't.
No.
I never had one that burn. Yup.
Okay. Yeah.
Have anybody seen Larry in the last couple of days?
Everybody kind of looks around and is like, I hadn't seen Larry in like almost 4 or 5 weeks. So it's been almost a month since anybody's seen Larry.
I'll probably start like heading up around this time too. Try to get near the other two and Larry.
I'm gonna reach around the counter and grab my keys. He's like, I'm gonna go get the van. I think we should take him to the ER.
Yeah, I think Alvin will hand Larry another drink, I guess.
Yeah.
And leave some money on the counter.
Nah, legit. I'm not gonna have us roll out of combat at this point in time because that seems silly. Because you have like almost a half a dozen people at this point in time, a van, you're giving Larry drinks. Larry does not seem all there. Like Larry doesn't look like he's been fed very well. Like a month of malnutrition does start to take its toll on you pretty quickly, especially if it's been extreme malnutrition over a month. Larry looks a bit emaciated. Larry looks a bit broken. Like Alvin might recognize this as somebody who's kind of gone through who's seen PTSD or shock before, but he's in kind of a state of shock. Like he's not in the best place. But you guys can kind of get him in the van. You can keep giving him some RC colas and some other things to get him where he needs to go, and you can take him to the hospital. Once you get him to the hospital, they're going to be like, "What do you want us to kind of do?" Like it's because we're in the early 80s, there's kind of that breakdown in the healthcare system right now. But they'll take him in as long as somebody signs for him. So who signs for Alvin? Who signs for Larry? Who kind of gives a name and address for him to if they have to release him later, where they send him in a cab type situation.
Oh well.
Okay. So Alvin gives a name and address, signs for him. They'll take him in. They assume it's a substance problem. So they're probably going to put him in that particular side of things. They're going to watch him, observe him for probably the next few days. But anything you want to do, I'm going to go ahead and disperse the NPCs and leave the player characters to talk amongst themselves because I don't need to voice 3 random and nameless NPCs in the neighborhood. That seems very silly. So the 3 of you are kind of either cleaning up like the broken glass or
Yeah, I'll ask them to like, can y'all give me a hand taping up like some cardboard up against the window so.
Yeah, he'll take some of the wood that's left over from setting up and help board up.
Yeah, I got the nails and stuff, so I'll help out with that.
So yeah, it's.
So ain't none of us seen Larry in like a month, and then he just shows up, drinking pretty much half your stock worth of drinks. I mean, substance issue or not, ain't that a little weird?
Yeah. Like he hadn't eaten in a while too.
Yeah, but he didn't grab any of the food. He just went for the drink. So like something was burnt. I don't know if it was like burning his throat or his chest or. I don't know. I can't think of any drugs that will do that to you though.
Me neither.
Knowing the stuff that I know about the community center that didn't go through, what I know of like, hey, is this similar to what was happening to some of the people at the community center before they closed it down, or is this completely new?
No, this is new. Like, people have stayed in and out of that community center for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's had this type of like situation occur. Like, and keep in mind, it was like rumors around like not safe paint and asbestos type things. It like, if you know anything about like backroom dealings, it feels like this was like not just a handout, but this was a thing that was supposed to help the Black Panther Party for self-defense in the neighborhood. And then when that all fell apart, Freeman like kind of closed it down to get a tax break type situation. Like, it is a political move more than it is a there might be something really wrong with the building type situation. Like, the land is more valuable because there's kind of a building on it and you can kind of do things with it and you can kind of keep people bidding over it, but you're not doing anything to really improve the community. It's kind of a building that somebody needs to actually do something with to make better, rather than something on a piece of paper that now somebody owns and is getting a tax break.
I don't know. I have nothing about what any of that could be doing. I can't think of a single drug that'd do that much and then leave him like that for like a month, unless he's continually taking it, in which case, I don't know. I feel like if you have any drug that leaves you with that kind of sensation a month long of it, probably would have worse damage to you.
Yeah, and I don't know. No one around here, you know. I mean, honestly, I don't know of anyone around here that like sells anything worse than weed. So it must have been from somewhere else, different part of town.
Then in the shape that he's in, he broke in.
Yeah. Oh, can I check? It's not like super advanced CCTV because it's it's the early '80s, but it's something. Can I check to see? There's one out. There's a camera out like on the front like porch. Can I see what direction he came from?
He came from down the street, kind of the direction that where the community center is. That it's kind of boarded up that they were staying in, but nobody's seen them, and it isn't really like he came from the direction people knew that where he was staying last. But then again, nobody's really used that building since they left, isn't because everybody thought they just left. They were transients. People just assumed they left. Because it's not like it's the building. It's not like people use the building, but it's also not like people don't notice when the building is in use, if that makes sense. Like, it's one of those things where clear the building is boarded up like every time a group leaves. So like the boarding up happened and then everybody's just assumed they left. But when people are kind of staying there, clearly there's some windows and some doors that get unboarded. Every once in a while, people will find some lights on, a light on or two in there. Like, it's clear when people are using it versus when people are not.
Do you think you tried to get in the community center first?
What came from it? I haven't seen or heard hide or hair about any of the others, from the community center. I mean, most of them we assume just kind of move on, but we just saw Larry. I'm not exactly privy to the idea that they just left.
The others might still be in it.
That's what I'm worrying about.
We'll check it out, see if it's open. Anyway.
I ain't got shit to do till tomorrow.
Yeah, give me a minute. Because she's paranoid as shit, she is going to go into her apartment and grab her rifle.
Sure. Does she have like a rifle? Or does she just got like a shotgun? Because either one's fine.
A rifle.
Okay.
Sounds like it's slung over her shoulder. It's very clear that she has it.
We're gonna finish boarding up before we leave, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you all finish boarding up. I'm not going to make you make rolls to board up some windows, a broken window, and clean up some glass. That seems real silly. This is not a
I have 2 dots in
situation.
crafts, so it's fine.
I mean, it's real nice. It's very nicely boarded up. It's clear you're still open when the next day rolls around, so on and so forth. You're set. You very eloquently put, yes, we're still open on the board. Like, it's very noticeable. You're going to be open the next day. Not a big deal there. So it is now like 5-ish in the morning. Some of you haven't slept yet. I'm going to point that out. Some of you have been up all night. Some of you had arguably a few hours of sleep. Do you want to explore the center now, or do you want to be like, we should meet back up and do this in the morning after we've had some rest? You are grown adults who do grown adult things.
That's fair.
Who have jobs and other things. Do you go explore at 5 in the morning because you grown ass adults? I want to be real clear about that.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe as the adrenaline comes down, we were all like a little on edge. 5 in the morning, catches none of us are teenagers, so 5 in the morning catches up to us.
It is like you go get your rifle, you come back around the corner, you're like, it's 5 a.m. Why am I going to an abandoned building at 5 a.m. with 2 guns?
Why am I vertical at 5 in the morning? There's no reason for this.
This is some teenager dumb bullshit that you do. Maybe we should get together and do it tomorrow during the day after we've had several hours of sleep. One of those type situations. You don't have to. If you all want to press on at 5 a.m. and do some exploring, I will not stop.
No, I think
I will remind you, you're all playing grown ass adults.
Is the big event, is the get together stuff tomorrow, or is that
correct?
In a couple days? Okay.
This is the night before the block party.
I really hate to say this, if we're gonna get any sleep before we go in, it'll probably, cause the block party. We're gonna want to sleep now and try to get up early.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna try to move as much stuff from the one drink cooler into the other, sort of pack it in.
You guys can totally move things and make it look like you have all the drinks you need for the drinks. Yeah. I assume because it is the early 80s, you're all about that Royal Crown Cola in the neighborhood.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I have to.
You need a ride home, King?
Nah, I'm just gonna sleep at the bar if you don't mind.
Alright. I'll catch up with y'all in the morning.
Alright, we'll see.
You're gonna No, you're fine. Alvin makes it back with no real incidents to his home.
3 successes.
Wow, that is impressive on 4 dice.
I know.
You get to the bar and that feeling you have on the back, you had locked up the bar, you were ready to leave for the night, and you unlock the bar and you have that moment where the hairs on your neck stand up and you're being watched. Someone has got eyes on you. It's not you just being paranoid. You're like, nah, I feel it in my bones.
I'm going to move as if I'm not like, at least if I don't know, I'm going to move around to the front of the bar and just like run my hands against the countertop. My thumb's going to be under it just to feel the groove where I have the little, like a little pull out where I keep like my knife.
I will let you know, once you get inside the bar, the feeling kind of dissipates. So, but it's that moment of like, you open the door and like when you cross the threshold of the bar, you feel safer. But when you're unlocking it and doing like, you know, someone's watching you get back in, step back into your bar. It's that like weird, just like, you know, you're being watched moment.
And sleeping with this tonight as I just take out the knife and find my little where I keep most of the liquor in the basement of the bar. I just have a little couch set up there, and I'm just going to lay down on there and just okay.
Sleep will eventually come. It's 5 a.m. You've been up for not necessarily 20 hours, but probably like close to 18. You had a lot going on. Sleep does take you, but you do have that eerie feeling. Are there any windows in the basement? Like, you know, sometimes basement setup have windows.
There's little slats.
Little slip windows. You swear as you're drifting off to bed, you see something like move by the slat window. But you're like, you're too tired. You can't keep like forcing yourself to keep your eyes open is a bad play. You drift off to sleep. Probably you drift off to sleep as the sun starts to slowly crest over the horizon type situation.
Yeah.
But you're like, you swear before the sun comes up and before you drift off, you see something move through. It could be a cat, could be nothing at all, but you know you saw something move past that slat window. Alvin gets home, nothing major happens. Everybody gets pretty good sleep-ish, all things considered. You know, the block party starts around noon, but it don't really start around noon. Like, people start cooking at noon and showing up at noon and doing things at noon. Things start between 2 and 3. Like, that's when things start, is between 2 and 3. But it officially starts at noon. It's one of those, no, it starts at noon situations. And by that, I mean, it's noon, but no, it's not. Yeah. Exactly that. So, does everybody get together and meet back up before that? Back at probably the bodega, I assume?
I'd say, yeah, probably at the bodega.
Yeah.
So it's 11. You guys get together at 11. You guys get together at noon. What time-ish do you guys get together at the bodega? 9 is like 3 hours of sleep. That's not a lot for some of you. So what time we thinking?
Probably maybe like 11, because we know how
11?
long it's gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we knew none of us were gonna be at the block party at noon, so
Yeah, ain't none of you guys gonna be there at noon.
no.
Like they might get the pig started at noon, but you ain't gonna be there at noon.
God no.
The smokers are starting at noon, but that's a whole other conversation. But you all ain't gonna be there at noon. So around 11:15, everybody shows up at the bodega. When you leave your bar, you don't have that sense of feeling watched again. You feel everything feels fine. Just whatever. It was a weird night. There was a guy trying to drink milk and cola and juice and talking about burning. You were just thrown off. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all, right? Brush it off as you tuck your knife into your pocket.
Back into my pocket.
Now that you armed, we go look at
everything is fine now.
Everything's fine now. I'm armed.
Can I check where that side where that window looked out? Just see if there's like any footprints or stuff left behind.
Sure. Give me an intelligence investigation roll. We're looking for footprints and stuff.
Oh, good. 1.
I mean, It looks like there's some paw prints from like a stray cat, maybe, or a stray dog. That's probably what it was.
I'm being paranoid. I'm being paranoid. It's just paranoia.
And in the back of your mind, you hear that don't mean they ain't out to get me.
I'm going to get my usual too when I enter the bodega. I'm just going to make a beeline immediately for the sandwiches, grab number 4.
Sandwich 4. All right. So the three of you meet up in the bodega. Your grandparents will come down and kind of run the bodega for the morning while you go look into this situation.
Yeah.
From the break-in, because they're like, yeah, go look into that. That's not a bad idea. Are you still going to take your rifle in the middle of the street for the block party that'll be started and probably underway by the time you get back? Or are you just taking your handgun? There is no wrong answer to this question, but you will be walking around a street with a rifle. I'm just pointing that out.
That's fair. I mean, the neighborhood knows her. You know, if you know. Like that.
Yeah. It's the classic AK in the golf bag. That's been done in a million games before. Yes. Yeah. Not a problem. All right. So we head over to. Takes a couple minutes to walk over there. There's still people in the street. People are saying hi. Does Alvin pick up anything? Because apparently everybody else is packing in some fashion now. Does Alvin like?
Oh, he always
bring up.
He always has a switchblade on.
I have a switchblade. I got my switchblade that Alvin will not confuse with his comb switchblade, so he's fine. I assume he has a comb one and a regular one, and never the two shall be confused.
He just like flicks it out. She's like, "Ow!"
I'm just lining myself up both ways. Lining myself up. That's what I'm doing right now. It's real
this is on purpose.
This is on purpose. Never on accident, just lining myself up.
In the middle of the street, yeah,
of course.
Some scars on his forehead.
I used to be a professional wrestler too. I did all the things. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah, he's cleaning himself.
Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what you're doing.
Forehead looks like Abdullah the Butcher's.
I'm not running a plot about Hep C. That's all I have to say. All right, deep cut for you wrestling fans. All right, so you all head over there. It takes you a few minutes to walk over there. It's not a big deal. Who is somebody like kind of directing and taking point on this, looking around, or is it just one of those situations of like the three of you go off in different directions where you can still see each other and you want to make investigation checks? How would you like to do this? Now, break down mechanically, because I can explain this. You all can do this as a group and pick a primary actor. And the two secondary actors make rolls, and if they get successes, those add to your dice pool as the primary person doing the investigation. If they gum it up and fail, you lose dice off of your pool. But it is a collaborative effort at that point in time. So if there's a situation where it's like, somebody here may only have a 4 wits in investigation, and they might not want to make their own roll because they might gum up the evidence of something. Somebody here might have 7 or 8 dice in that. So it's a question of if you guys want to do this together. Somebody wants to try to lead the investigation. There are a couple ways to go about it. I'll let you all discuss that amongst yourselves as players, but there are ways to go about
it. Yeah. Who has the best wits investigation?
That would be 4 total for me.
And it's the same for me.
I have 6.
That would be you at your 6. Yep.
I think we should help you.
I just wanted to be sure, you know.
Yeah. This isn't bragging. This is.
I'm not flexing.
I'm trying to make sure all 3 of us make it out of this. You know,
Yep.
that's my priority.
All right, so give me the two 4 pulls first, and let's see if we get some bonus dice for this wits investigation roll. So before you roll your 6 die, they need to roll their 2 4 dice because it'll improve or decrease your pool. So what are we looking at, gentlemen?
That's 1 success for me.
Just to make sure that y'all know I'm not lying, that's 3 successes for me.
Wow. That's impressive. So add 4 more dice to your pool. So you have a total of 10 dice.
4 more?
You get a dice for each success they get.
Okay. 2, 3. All right.
I might be using the teamwork rules out of Hunter, even though you guys are not technically hunters yet.
We're just so close. We just work.
Yeah, you're so close that why am I not? Why am I not?
Yeah. I feel like King and I, because King was away and then moved back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like King and I are like roughly the same age, so we definitely like spent time, goofing off on Alvin's porch.
Oh, for sure.
As kids, yeah.
Alvin taught King how to use a knife to line himself up too. That's now canon.
King still makes Alvin pay full price for drinks due to the teaching me to line myself up using a knife.
He also taught you to shave with a knife too. It's a useful skill. Like you're like, I don't have a razor. It's time to clean and line it. It's a legit skill. Don't hate. Congratulate.
Okay, that is 5 total successes.
Yay! We love hearing that. So 5 total successes in this system is what's called an exceptional success. It means you find what you're looking for, plus more information than I can give you as a storyteller. So what's interesting about this is you get here, you start looking around, and you notice that the community center itself doesn't appear to be messed with. Like, you look around, you investigate all the points, but the storage area in the back of the community center where you would like store things, like, how there's like usually a side building for storage and a lot of these things.
Yeah, like extra chairs, tables, and stuff.
Yeah, all that. That door is clearly like slightly cracked open. It is noticeably like there. Like when you get over there, you clearly see footprints coming out of it, not going into it, which is really awkward because you would think like that might be where he went into, but it's clearly somebody came out of there. And when you head in there, you like head in, you head down, you find what would be like a cellar style door. And that, like, you guys know this place, there shouldn't be a cellar in a building like this. That's not how they're built. But you kind of see like a cellar style door down there, and you basically like notice that like it's been, for lack of a better term, it's been recently opened, but it is now closed again. And there isn't a locking mechanism to the cellar style door on this side of the door. Like, the hinges clearly have the door swing open out towards you, and you would think if it's a cellar style door that the lock would be on the outside, like you'd padlock it from out here. But there's no locking mechanism on this side of the door, which is really awkward. That stands out to all 3 of you very quickly, where you're like, that doesn't seem right. So it clearly locks from the inside, which is really weird. Also, you would note, because you got 5 successes, that it hinges and opens up this way. But if you know how doors are made, usually when you hinge, you would hinge it so it opens out and the bolts would be here, so you could take the hinges off if you needed to. The hinges are also on the inside. So this is clearly designed for you to close this and be inside the door and make it less accessible from the outside, which is super awkward.
How thick are the doors? Are they like thicker than a regular like house door, or?
Oh no, they're like steel cellar doors. They're like those. They're like those tornado cellar doors that you're looking at here.
But we're not in tornado country. Like we don't. Like, no one else has this.
Even if they were cellar doors, like this is Cold War era, so this could have been like labeled as a bomb shelter, but it's not. Like this is not labeled as like a fallout shelter. So, yeah, you would have known. You live here, so like it's out of place. It is completely out of place. You can also tell like one as well that like you know how like when you would set up all the extra tables and chairs, it's very clear that these doors up until probably last night had that built, so they weren't built this way, but it was clear someone was using it as cover. So like the tables and chairs and stuff were in front of this type of door, so you couldn't see it. So this was hidden through multiple layers of like concealment, and it's clearly designed to open from the inside and not the outside. You got 5 successes. These are just things I'm giving you at this point in time. That's why exceptional successes are awesome.
Does the cellar look as old as the building itself?
I would say it was built. It was not built on top of the cellar. The cellar area was built into the building. This is not a case of where those doors look completely out of place. If it was built before the building, it wasn't long before the building, if that makes sense. Like, these aren't like 100-year-old cellar doors. These are modern-ish doors within like the 70s when this was built. So if it was built on top of it, these doors are maybe a year. They wouldn't be that previous to when the building itself was built.
Hey, Alvin.
Yeah.
Do you know who commissioned this place? Like the center, was it the city or was it like a nonprofit? Do you remember?
I remember who. I know Freeman had a hand in it, but was it his idea?
You know, the Black Panther Party for Defense wanted a community center. You know that Freeman tried to make it happen to basically get them to back him to keep to not run against him. Like, basically they're like, if we take it, this is what we're going to do. And Freeman got ahead of that by being like, oh no, I'm already going to make this happen for you. Like, he spent political capital to get this community center built so that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense wouldn't run a candidate against him. Domestic terrorist group and killed them.
Read Black Against Empire by Joshua Bloom and Waldo E. Martin Jr.
Thank you for the book. I could not remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, so when that started to fall apart, the center went by the wayside because it was much more beneficial for like Freeman to have name on paper and get tax break than to actually have an open community center.
Yep.
So, you do know. Go ahead and give me a quick memory roll for Alvin. Give me a composure intelligence roll real quick. And if King wants to make 1, 2 with the bonus, you can do that as well. Because you have a dead memory.
Yeah. Oh yes. Ooh. Would this be under? Not amazing, but 3 successes.
So on the local, I'm gonna cover the local politics real quick, and then I'll give Alvin his memory pool. So on the local politics roll, you know what Freeman did. Freeman basically used new tax loopholes to keep this place shut down, but by keeping the power on and saying it's this, that, and the other thing. He's basically paying not to upkeep the building, but getting a giant tax break on the back end based upon new tax codes. Mm-hmm. He is denying a resource to the community while lining his own pocketbook. Yeah. It's complicated and obnoxious, but it is a thing he is doing. Or at least somebody in his office is doing it. give or take. Alvin, because you were around when these things happened, you remember before King was born, before Charles was born, there were some older houses here, and by older I mean like probably the like mid 1800s houses here, and some of them got bulldozed to make where the community center was because they were just old houses. People didn't want them in the neighborhood anymore, so they got taken care of. So you do know that some of these really old houses did have really old cellars, and you could put together that maybe this is somebody putting a door over a really old cellar that may have been on this property. But you don't know for sure. But you do remember these older houses being here before, you know, people moved in, like before they were removed to deal with this particular part of the neighborhood and renovate this particular thing.
If they got rid of the houses, like, I never heard of a cellar being down here though.
No, you didn't. You did not hear about. You're like, the age of the houses says there would be cellars dug that way, but you don't remember there being cellars in those houses.
Yeah.
Just to say that we tried to do the stupid thing before anyone says otherwise, and I'm just going to jiggle the the cellar door just to see if it opens.
No, I mean, if you would like to give me a strength check at difficulty 6.
Oh, I'm not trying to pull this thing open. He's literally like, yeah. "Oh, it didn't work."
You're like, no, it is secured.
Yeah. So we have a locked cellar that's locked on the other side. A cellar in a building that really doesn't need one.
Correct.
And they probably would have, if there was one, they probably would have needed a new foundation.
Did Larry lock himself in here?
I mean, if they did,
who closed it? And if he did, who closed it behind him? Because someone, you would have to be inside. Okay. How about we're back to the store? I have a cousin who might be able to check the as-builts. So we run back to my store, you know, I call her up. We can come back with more information.
You want to do this after the block party? You know, we come back after all that.
Yeah, if you want to. This is gonna bug me all week. I don't know if I'll be able to think of anything else.
My thing is the block party run late. By the time that everyone's, you know, cleared out, we'll have a little bit more access for things if we need it.
That's true. That's a good point.
Before we leave, the smell. Is there any kind of weird smell coming out of here? Like,
great question.
Like, yes, he's concerned about those other folks who might have been with Larry.
Given that Alvin may or may not know what dead bodies smell like based upon Alvin's mysterious past, it does not smell like rot or decay. It does smell like kind of stale book smell, like that slightly mildewy, stale book smell. Like there's clearly something around, but it's not like a death stench or anything else like that. Okay. So that is where that kind of is. So you all head back. It took you, it takes 4 or 5 minutes, or probably actually more like 7 or 8 minutes to walk back and forth. So it's been 15 minutes round trip walk. But the amount of time it took you to investigate this was probably an hour-ish, especially once you found the door, moved things around, started contemplating what's going on, really figured out that like this door doesn't open from this side, and that you kind of are left in that situation. So the block party is not really started yet, but things are really starting to happen. Like people are starting to arrive, people are setting up dishes, food is getting set up. You know, people are setting up sound, like the sound system is getting tested. No one is playing Blondie because they're not actually the first rap song. Moving on past that. But like, so it's really at that point where like the buzz of the block party starting is really starting to happen. So making that call right now, you definitely want to do that before like it's gonna be so loud it'll be hard to hear your cousin. So go ahead and give me a, because you're asking for building records that should be pretty public knowledge, right?
Yeah, and Alicia, one of my cousins, works at City Hall, and you know,
and you're not asking for anything that's a dangerous favor at this point in time. So there's no real role. She says she will let you know what she can find in a few hours. Because like it's one of those situations where like, hey, this is going to take me a little bit of time. You know, I am still at work working, so, but like it'll be a few hours. But she can give you a call back and let you know what she finds. Is there anything specific? Are you looking for like who got it commissioned and like the permits on it, or are you looking for the actual plans for the whole building, or both?
I'm looking for what's in like city plan and engineering. It's what's called the as-built. So you submit the blueprints, which is your initial plan, but that almost always changes. The as-built is the diagram of the building as it now stands, and that has to be almost 100% accurate. And that also has to have the name of the architects, the lead contractor. So.
Correct. On that note, another great place to start is our Patreon, because I've been told to plug the Patreon. So that was that was my segue, Patreon segue. So if you're not familiar, go to the Apocryptic Unlimited Patreon, sign up, be a patron. But it is almost 10 o'clock, and I think it's time for a 10-minute break for me to check in with my players away from the stream, and for us to refresh our waters and other beverages, depending on what we're drinking. So,
RC Cola, actually. That's all this is.
That's so good. So happy about that. So we're going to bid you adieu, and we'll be back at 10:10 EST, 9:10 CST, 8:10 MT, and, 7:10 PST. There you go. I did all the time zones. I'm not doing any more of them.
GMT, figure it out. You're fine.
Yeah. You Google it.
Y'all ain't real.
Y'all ain't real. Yeah. Greenwich Mean? I don't even know where Greenwich is.
That's in Connecticut. welcome back, everybody. First of all, if you haven't gone to the Patreon, they will find my body somewhere, and there will not be a second episode. I have been threatened with physical. I'm kidding. I've not been threatened with physical violence about not plugging the Patreon. But go to the Patreon, check it out, Apoc Unlimited. But we're about to return for the second half of this. We have about another hour of this first part adventure that we've got going on. And we have a block party to get to. So while the paranoia builds and the day turns into night as the block and the partying happens, what do people want to do with this dark secret they found right before the neighborhood got together? No pressure, right?
I bought like a bunch of ordered a bunch of like cheaper stuff because I wanted to do something, but like buying like cases of like the nice soda would have like cleaned me out for a while.
Yeah.
But now like sprinkled into the coolers are some of the nicer drinks. Because I don't have the fridge space. It's like we're just gonna get rid of it. I'm asking people if they need extra milk.
Larry has ruined your day.
It's not his fault. I'm not gonna be mad at him.
Cool. Is Alvin? I guess the first question I have because these are expensive at the time. Does Alvin have an answering service or an answering machine or neither one of those things? Because those are expensive right now. But Alvin does have money and people try to get a hold of Alvin all the time. So I don't know if Alvin has hired an answering service.
Because I read a lot. Could I have helped Alvin with this plan he had?
This plan he had to build an answering machine. Yeah, you could have built some physical crafty components for that. That's fine.
Excellent. I want this to happen.
Give me a quick roll. I want to see how they turned out. So give me a crafts roll. I'm gonna say because you're physically building them and you're not doing programming or anything. I'm gonna say it's a Dex crafts roll for you.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm gonna say Alvin is building the actual like parts. So I'm gonna say intelligence computer or intelligence science, whichever one you want to roll. How bad did it turn out? That's
so for the dexterity plus crafts, I rolled 5 dice. 4 of them are successes. 2 of them are 10s. So I'm gonna reroll.
Keep going.
Those.
You might have the nicest case for the least working answer machine ever.
That's 5 total successes.
This is the nicest case.
Dexterity.
You definitely have the case of a really nice answering machine, and it says Panasonic, not Panasonic.
Yes.
Panasonic.
Yes.
It is clearly the most bootleg, but looks like a real Panasonic answering machine. Let's see if the innards of this answering machine work. Like that's the universal question.
Intelligence plus computer.
Yeah, you're gonna assist. You're gonna try to assist there.
I would love to help make this
apparently, you might get the bonus dice here, so give me just a moment.
Okay.
We'll just cut the king with an actual answering machine. Like, what are you guys doing?
No, so here's the thing about answering machines.
Okay, that's just
this time period. Okay, so one more dice you get to roll. You got one more dice you get to roll, Ryan, for your science or computer roll. You can roll one more dice and see how it adds to it. No, this thing about like in the early '80s, answering machines are like $400. Like they are expensive. These are not cheap.
Yeah, back when $400 meant something. Like
no bullshit. I had 3 dice that exploded.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I have 5 successes total.
Yeah. No. You have an answer. You have a working answering machine. There are people on the block that are like utterly impressed with your nice working answering machine because that is a luxury item. Like that is a legit luxury item in this early '80s time period in this neighborhood. Like somebody might have an Atari, but people talk about how you have the money for an answering machine and how nice your Panasonic is with an IK, not with an IC.
Nobody knew
That's
it was built.
across
Nobody knew it was built.
3 rolls. That's 5 total dice that exploded. God is good
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one.
you're using those now to build answering machines. Remember, there's more game here. When the luck turns, when your luck turns, don't blame the answering machine. That's what I have to say.
Black exclamation is when why pay $400 for an answering machine when I can just
When you
make
can
one?
build one. When I can just build one. Get
Just
good,
make one,
noob. Yeah. Do you not have an answering machine? Because I just built one. Get good. I used a potato and 2 pieces of cassette tape. Get good. It's not even powered by electricity. It's legit a potato. It's potato powered too. Like
It's a Walkman hooked up to a potato.
It's like a potato battery, but just works.
It just works. It's the Bethesda of answering machines. It just works.
How does it work?
But
Don't
yeah.
worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what you're doing. That's none of your business. With this answering machine action. No, I'm happy I'm seeing all the exploding dice now. Some of the bad guys shows up and you're like, I'm gonna shoot him. And you're like, well, that is a critical failure. I get to be like, muha, muha, ha, ha.
The dice won't explode. The gun will explode in my hand.
The gun will explode into dice, and you'll be like, well, this is awkward.
I think you definitely paid Char for the help, of course. Like,
Yeah, like you came into the store one day, got your regular stuff, and like all you said was, "I want to build an answering machine."
Yeah, I want to build.
And I just like I walked over, I turned the close sign on, and like we're going.
Bet. It was answering machine now.
Like we went, like it took all day. We're in your living room. It is a mess, but we did it.
Yeah.
But you did it. So let me know when Alvin may or may not swing by the home to see he has a message on his answering machine.
Yeah, I think he might head back there after coming from the center because he also wants to call his brother, see if his brother's going to the block party. I mean,
so this is around 1-ish. Around 1-ish. Okay. So you get in, your answering machine light, I would say is blinking, but it's actually just making fries because that's what it does with the leftover potatoes at Julianne's as well. No, it's blinking to let you know you have a message. The first message is like a telecall because you get those all the time because you have an answering machine. But the second one informs you that the person you signed in has been signed out by the police department. And that, as you are listed as their contact information, they inform you that like they've been signed out by the police department, that you should contact this particular person at the precinct, and they let you know that happened via message.
all right. Yeah, he'll call his brother right quick, and after that he'll make a few other calls to some people to try to see if we could get to Larry. Like,
you were basically told to contact Sergeant Harris, who is kind of like the desk sergeant.
Yeah, but first he'll call his brother, see if he's going to, because he wants to see if his brother has a tool that can help us knock down that door.
Your brother's like, you found a cellar door you want to break into. I guess I could bring a power drill, like he's got a couple power tools he could loan you. None of them are battery operated, so you will have to plug them into a wall. It is the early 80s. Like no nice lithium battery packs yet to out there doing the things. But yeah, he'll let you know he has a couple power tools you might be able to borrow.
Bring him to the gathering. Like,
okay, yeah.
I'll pick him up there.
Okay, yeah. No, he'll drop him by. Do you want to call the desk sergeant or?
Yeah.
Okay. So you called Sergeant Harris. You've probably engaged with Sergeant Harris before. He is the desk sergeant at kind of like the local nearest precinct of police. He's not overly friendly, but he's not like a giant dick either. He's kind of very no nonsense, like kind of the desk sergeant type person. And like he'll answer, you'll be like, "Hey, I was given this. You were telling me this information," and he'll be like, "One moment," and like put you on hold, and then he'll like come back from hold and be like, "We don't have anybody on holding by that name."
They told me y'all signed him out.
I mean, I didn't sign him out personally. I don't sign anybody out, but I don't have anybody in holding by that name.
All right, but y'all should probably check in on that somebody's checking people out under the police's authority.
Sure. He's like, you can hear his eyes rolling to a degree where he's like, "We'll look into it." Like, because again, this is the early '80s. That happens from time to time. People claim to be officers. People claim to do stuff. That's how certain serial killers got away with things. They claim to be police officers. This is before the era of where you can quickly check to see who really is and isn't a cop, and people don't have that standard knowledge. They have that trust of the police in other communities.
And he'll quickly hang up, basically. Like,
yeah,
not even,
I don't quickly hang up.
Not even a goodbye.
Nope. Bye. Click. Yeah. So you now know Larry has been checked out by somebody claiming to be the police, and the police say they don't have Larry in holding. And you know your brother will be there in a few hours with some power tools. You also know that I assume you Charo said with the group that like it's going to be a few hours before you get the building plans.
Yeah. I'll let him know.
Is King looking to do anything?
He's probably just doing like last minute bar prep, but then in the meanwhile, he's also kind of just scouting anybody that's sort of starting to show up to the whole thing. Just seeing like if there are faces that are new or that he doesn't recognize.
There's a skinny dude in a nicer suit with a tablet and like not tablet, the packets of paper, like a day planner and a pen, and you're like, you've never seen this dude before. And he'll basically come into the bar and like slightly knock on the door. He's like, excuse me, I represent Councilman Freeman. We would like to know if we could post re-election signs in your establishment. And I'm Mr. Clarksville. Like you're like this dude is all of the like I wouldn't say weird vibes, but all of the like minion-y I work for a politician secretary vibes. Like that is the vibes from this dude.
I'm going to just kind of pour myself a drink. You gonna be around for the little block party?
Yeah, of course we will. Councilman Freeman will be attending as well.
Didn't ask for we, just asked if you were.
Yes, I'll be there.
Who's he running against?
No one. He's running uncontested again this year.
You realize I'm trying to remain a bit of a neutral party in this.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to really be neutral about. There's no competition. We have shown support for the community for years now, and we just hope that support can be shown at your establishment.
Speaking of support, any idea if he's going to do anything with the community center?
I don't. He like kind of looks through his papers. Would you like to make an empathy check?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also naturally don't trust a person that just comes into the bar and is not going to sit down and have a drink. I am open. Mm-hmm. Empathy and what? Or just empathy?
I'm going to say manipulation empathy.
There's 2 explosions, so we'll go ahead and re-roll those.
Nice.
So for a total of 4.
For 4. So total 1 success because it was a contested roll. You can tell he's not telling the complete truth, but you're not exactly sure what he's hiding in the statements he's making. He could just be
is this a lies thing?
Yeah.
I would get an extra roll for that.
Go use your extra die then.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Still just the one.
Yeah. So you can tell he is obfuscating the truth in some manner with one success over him. But it's hard to tell if he is obfuscating it in the manner of like he doesn't know what's going on and is giving you an answer you want to hear, or he knows exactly what's happening and isn't giving you an answer you want to hear. Like he is a very, you can tell, even though based on his mouthy demeanor, that he's very good at manipulation and lies and deceit. As someone else who knows those types of people, and you can tell that this is either a case of he doesn't know what's going on and he's just good at like giving you a BS answer, or he knows exactly what's going on and is good at giving you a BS answer. But the answer is that kind of no answer response that like, well, it looks like there's multiple things scheduled to be done, and it's the runaroundiest, most politically non-answer you can get. But it's hard to tell whether he's doing it because he knows what's happening, or he doesn't know anything and is just covering for the counselor.
Tell you what, because if he's going to be here today, and I love having conversations with politicians,
Sure,
you can leave the flyers here, post my conversation with him. I'll happily hang them up.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'll let him know that he needs to come by and see a possible new associate.
On a condition.
Sure.
And I'm going to get out the ingredients for a black billionaire and pour it. You got to understand, as a businessman, I have conniptions about people coming in and not partaking in my business. Have a drink.
Sure. So I'm going to have you make another empathy check at this point in time, by the way. Apparently, I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
Oh my!
Not nearly as good. 2.
So he rolled 7 successes this time.
Jesus Christ!
I had my 10 blow up twice. We want that to happen now while I'm lying and not on damage rolls. That's when we don't want those explosions. He takes the drink and he clearly just drinks it, enjoys it, doesn't seem to phase him at all. Like, this is very much somebody who you're like, you expected him to be resistant to this idea, and he's like, oh, of course, thank you, I appreciate that. And he drinks it, and he seems to drink it very appropriately. So like he's like, he comments on the serving glass, he comments on like he very much knows the drink you poured. He very much understood the drink you poured. He drank it appropriately. He engaged with it appropriately. He didn't seem... It was like, I don't want to say if it was practice, but it's very clear that he like knows what's going on, does all the things appropriately, engages in it. Even given his mousy demeanor, this seems not off, but it's surprising. Like, clearly he is used to, like, for somebody who knows these things, he's super used to masking and probably in front of white people. Like, he's a secretary at City Hall, and you're engaging with him in a non-white way. So he is appreciative of that, but he is used to masking for white people at City Hall. That is really what you get out of this, is like, oh, okay, maybe he's not so bad.
I just give him a thumbs up.
He gives you a classic, like, kind of thumbs up back at you type situation, and heads out. Like, but yeah. So, unless people have other things they would like to do, I was going to fast forward through the block party. We can discuss what people are doing at the block party, engage with the block party as day moves into night.
Just keeping an eye out, making sure no one making sure no one's having any Larry-like symptoms. But
sure.
Aside from that, just sort of hanging out with folks.
Give me an investigation check. Give me a wits plus investigation. Okay. I'll even give you a bonus +1 because you're specifically looking for Larry-like symptoms. That was what you said you were doing. So you're looking for a very specific thing in this, and you're doing that to the detriment of looking for other things that might be going on.
Okay. All right. One of those explodes. Okay. That is only 2 successes.
Sure. You don't see anybody with any Larry-like symptoms. Everybody seems to be having a good time. It is hard to look for those Larry-like symptoms to a degree because the pulled pork is incredibly mouthwatering, and your eyes are constantly drawn back to the pulled pork that is incredibly mouthwatering off that pig. But no Larry-like symptoms. Everything's pretty chill. I will say at around like 5:30, your cousin will come through with the plans. At about 6:15, Alvin's brother is going to come through. Do you have him drop off the tools like at the bodega, or do you have him drop off the tools like at your house, or where do you have him drop off the tools? You're muted, by the way.
Probably have him bring it and put it in my car.
Okay, so he'll swing by about 6:15. He'll swing by and drop by the tools there. At about 6:45-ish, Friedman shows up and goes into straight politics mode. Like he's shaking hands and kissing babies and doing all those particular things. And so that is really what's going on there.
Yeah, I think Alvin was spending the party basically like that kind of party mode where he's just talking to everybody, like chatting people up, just making sure everybody's having a good time. But he's also just letting people know like what happened with Larry and to look out for other folks that he was with, like just informing people like
as you're telling who Larry was with, you'll find out, and it'll come back to everybody's memories because other people will be talking about it. And once you put names in circulation, the other names pop up. It's not too hard. One is Celeste, and one is Jacob, or the other 2 transients that were with Larry.
All right. But yeah, outside of that, he's just chatting people up, having a good time, like making sure other people are having a good time.
So yeah, I don't want to say the highlight, but like one of the points, because you made a point to specifically wanted to speak to Freeman. Do you have anybody else with you at the bar? Is it just you, your staff, and the bar when you want to meet with Freeman, or do you have like Alvin and your bodega friends swing by as you're kind of investigating this thing that you know has a tie to Freeman while it's happening?
I would definitely want everyone there as well.
Okay. So it like basically at around 7:30, Clarksville will let you know that Freeman will be by your bar around 8:15. Like, so I will let you talk amongst the players about how you want to organize that situation.
I definitely have like a little corner area set up for like, these are important meeting spots to not have other people interrupt, but as a way of just like, we are leaders of the community here, whether we want to be or not. Each of us have been like an important part of it. This is something that's affecting the community. If he doesn't know about it, he should, and if he does know about it, we should fucking know. So let's politely interrogate him.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I feel like Charo is definitely like, it's not like at regular intervals, but like every so often she does swing by the bar and like give you like a little stare through the windows, like, we good? And then if you want, like, let her know then, and then she's always circling around, so she'll like, hey Alvin, Freeman's gonna be at the bar at this time. I want to talk to him.
All right.
So Freeman arrives. He's got Clarksville with him and another larger man who could be perceived as a bodyguard. Keep in mind, this is the early 80s, and we've had like assassinations of presidents in the semi-recent past. We had, I believe there was already an assassination attempt on Reagan at this point in time, if I remember correctly. It was the famous like Uzi picture. We've had political leaders killed throughout, the 60s and the long 70s or long 60s. So like the idea of a black councilman having a bodyguard is not absurd. It's not like this absurd idea.
We're in a big city too, so like this, like
this is not something that would be like, oh, a slight. This is just something that like, no, these are things that have happened in the recent past.
That makes sense.
The idea of him having protection is not something ridiculous. I want to be very clear about that.
So to have the table where the table is set up.
And so like the three of them will come in. Basically Clarksville will be like Mr. Friedman, Mr. King, Mr. King, Mr. Friedman. He'll do, and he'll kind of do like the secretary, like proper introductory thing, and then he'll take a step back. Like he went from being the focal point of contact to you now engaging with Freeman directly. Freeman, if Alvin is there, Freeman will look at Alvin and be like, Alvin, good to see you. How have you been? Like, and you will realize that Freeman is older than Alvin. Like Alvin is kind of the oldest person you hang out with, but it's very clear that Freeman is older. Like to your age to Alvin is Alvin's age to Freeman. So you're talking to somebody who's probably in their mid 60s at this point in time.
What's going on, Mr. Charles?
I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you still in the community. Been a pillar here for a long time, my friend. So I believe Mr. King wanted to talk to me about some issues. Mr. Clarksville informed me that you wanted to speak to me before you hung up some signs for the upcoming election.
I did indeed. You have to understand, as a member of this community, there's parts of it that I want to make sure are very safe, right? You must have heard there was a break-in.
I want to be clear. You moved back here recently, Mr. King. You're the child of Elizabeth and Marcus King, if I remember correctly, or is that incorrect?
I am indeed.
Okay, all right. I knew your mother and father. I just wanted to be very clear about who exactly I'm talking to.
Yeah, of course. You must have probably heard about the break-in that happened.
I saw that the bodega had been vandalized. I did not know there was a break-in at the time. I heard something had happened before I had arrived, and I heard rumor, but not firsthand account.
It is just an unfortunate circumstance. We all took care of it accordingly. But it does raise some concerns. The gentleman that did this happened to come from the community center.
Interesting. Community center's been shut down for some time now. Issues with the paint and the fire linings and things of that nature.
We trying to figure out how much of this I will actually say. Is that how he said that? Is that just a very like political statement, or is there something in that he's like?
That is the line that has been going around for years. Like it is clearly. I'm not going to make you roll. I'm like that is the well-rehearsed line when somebody brings up the community center.
I'm going to go ahead and pour myself a little.
Oh, did your bartender mind fixing me a old fashioned? That would be lovely. Like he requests the drink.
I'll get right on that. We'll look over to the other two, like continue the interrogation kind of look, and then I'm going to head over to make an old fashioned. Because there is no bartender, there's me.
Yeah.
Yep. He assumes you have a bartender. That's what he assumes.
No.
Incorrect.
Because Clarksville said you wanted to meet at your bar, which infers you're the owner and not the bartender to him. So he assumes you have help. But yeah. Nice to see both. But as old fashioned, he was saying something about the community center. Has there been an issue? Is there? I wouldn't mind seeing the place taken care of, but it would be quite expensive to tear it down with the issues with it and the safety and health concerns. It's safest to leave it there for now until we can get it done at a much better rate.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that Larry was spending some nights, in the building. Needed a roof over his head.
He was
They
being a
were-
vagrant in the area. This Larry individual, not from the community, from my understanding, right? He was passing through.
He's been around for a bit, you know. Difficult times in that.
Happens.
Can I roll something to see if the name, if like me repeating the name Larry, sort of like
Sure, empathy.
gets
If you're looking at
anything?
empathy right now, yeah, you're looking for empathy right there.
Okay. Am I adding an attribute to this or just straight?
Yes, you always add an attribute. Usually manipulation or wits in this case, because you're looking for a response, not necessarily gauging his response.
Yes, I would love to do
So
it.
I'll say wits. So I'll say wits because you're only looking to see if if you're catching a thing.
Mm-hmm. 2 successes.
He doesn't seem to know or care who Larry is. The biggest thing you got out of that with your empathy is he is more annoyed that some transient is doing a thing. This is not somebody from the community to him, and he seems to still think of himself from the community, even though he doesn't really live here anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like most people with power, he is annoyed about the fact that a homeless person exists, and that's like
Correct.
first and foremost in his mind. Yeah.
Correct.
So we found him last night, brought him to the hospital. Just to sort of, he was complaining about some weird symptoms that we didn't know about.
You think he could be contagious or something? We're worried about that?
Don't think it's not sure if it's a virus or something, but you know, we took him to the hospital just to be safe.
Okay. Fair enough. That will fair enough. Well, that's good to hear. But yes, no, we could if there's issues with transients in the community center, we could definitely see what we can do about that. Because we don't want that issue becoming prevalent in the community.
I'll return with the old-fashioned at this point.
He will thank you and take a sip. Are you just going to default be like, I made an old-fashioned? Or do you want to like roll to make it super nice? I don't know what you would like to do in this scenario.
I think I'm going to default into just saying I've made the old-fashioned because I was specifically trying to look for very specific whiskey brands and couldn't find one that I wanted.
Fair enough. So you make an old-fashioned. He compliments your old-fashioned making. He appreciates you making it yourself. But
yeah,
I heard you. Go ahead. Alvin. Yes, Alvin.
Alvin cut in after that last. The issue wasn't that folks were looking for a place to stay. It was seeming that he hadn't eaten in a long time. That he was locked in there.
Interesting. You think he might have been locked in there? I mean, As
usually
I hear it,
usually when you
I could
make a hole to get in, there's a way to get out.
Oh, you think he got himself stuck in there for a while? That's fair. Well, you know what I could do? I would say I would have some officers come by, but I know how that would upset a lovely friend here, turning toward Jero, being like, but what I can do is I can have Mr. Clarksville look into the matter and report back to me. Maybe send him with an associate, kind of nodding at the bodyguard type person, to check the place every couple of days to make sure this doesn't happen again. We would not want dead transients in the former community center. Like, all of you can kind of see the spin that is happening here. He is much more worried about dead transients messing up the community than the idea that something is afoul or afoot. But even without an empathy check, you do get the vibe that he isn't malicious or maliciously knowing something that happened to this person, if that makes sense. Like
yeah, Charles
he-
definitely like leaning a little like leaning towards Alvin a little bit, because if she doesn't like, if she has been around Alvin enough for like this is a comfortable person, it's a safe person to be around, and if I am not like directly near this person, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass because he is talking about people who don't have a place to live. He is talking about them like they're possums in the wall, and not people who need help.
Correct.
So she is like barely keeping a lid on it.
Yeah. Like it is very clear that he has spun this to the issue of the community center doesn't need homeless people in it, versus we want to find out what happens to this one person because something bad clearly happened to them.
Yes.
But it is very clear also that like he doesn't seem to know or care really what happened to Larry. Like that is the vibe very quickly. It's like he is not invested in Larry, and it's not even that he's not invested like, oh, you're gonna find out his secret plan that he's doing something with Larry. He just doesn't care about Larry. There is apathy there. There is blatant apathy. His issue is you've brought to his attention there are transients living in the community center. We shouldn't have transients living in the community center.
How's the secretary looking at this point?
Super chill. Like he doesn't look phased. He look like this is the dude that you can tell does all of the grunt work or seems to do most of the legwork type situation. Like because Alvin and Churro know this, they see Clarksville more than they see Freeman. Clarksville is the person who shows up and sees to Freeman's needs in an area. He is very clearly the gopher, for lack of a better term, that Freeman uses. And the idea that he's going to send Clarksville and a bodyguard, or Clarksville and some guy who's muscly and strong to deal with the situation isn't. And very clearly, it was a jab for the fact that I can't send the police because you brought me somebody here who antagonizes the police. I would send a patrol car by, but I can't because that's immediately going to be an antagonistic response. So I'll send somebody who the community knows and has known for a long time and some muscle to make sure there aren't transients causing problems.
I'll be a little antagonistic. Why not?
Yes.
Do it. How long's it been since you've hung out in the town?
I'm here today, and I'm here quite often. You'll see me on Sundays. Like he will give you the church he goes to, which is literally on the block. You can find me there every Sunday. Like that's not a lie. It's not a lie. Like he is in church every Sunday. He keeps coming back to the community church, but he doesn't live here anymore. Type situation.
Well, he's just like, okay, you're here Sundays. What about Monday, Tuesday?
You mean when I'm at City Hall doing my job?
No, I do not.
Because I can't not be doing my job at City Hall because there's lack of representation for us mostly anytime.
Are you there 24/7? Do you sleep at City Hall? Do you take your meals at City Hall? Do you?
Yes, I do actually take my meals at City Hall, Mr. King. Are you trying to imply that I don't have that I don't do my job and have not been doing my job for a long time?
I think you're doing your job. I think that you forget who you're doing your job for.
That's interesting. Coming from somebody who, up until a few months ago, didn't dare deign us with his presence.
You're right, and yet I'm back and I'm here.
Then I expect to see you at St. Mary's on Sunday then, correct?
Sure.
Excellent. I'm more than happy to continue to build a relationship with you then, if you're happy to see me and we can meet each other halfway.
You can meet me halfway out of my bar. And you can take your flyers with you, by the way.
Good to know, Mr. King. Good to know, Mr. King. All right. He'll do that, and they'll leave.
Good shit, King. I hate that prick. She like finally unclenches, like she like literally just like shakes
his soul a long time ago.
Oh God. We want to figure out what happened to Larry. We got to get into that cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
We gotta
something
do it
about that.
before they get in there. You know.
Yeah, I got something about that.
Good.
Yeah. All right.
Gotta go to my trunk right quick.
All right. Head over.
You head to the trunk, and there are a handful of power tools. You're clearly going to need like power lines to run them to and from the shed out back. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is now about 8:45, 9 o'clock at night. The block party's in pretty full swing. You could try to sneak away. You might be missed, or you could wait till the block party winds down, or you could chill out for a little bit, make a plan around the building plans you have, which I assume you want to examine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I've got them at the bar.
Cool. So you break out the bar, you break out the building plans. You're like, we have power tools. So it's for lack of a better term, it's all the usual suspects and players on these building plans. Like it's the building inspector, Freeman gives jobs to in the area, which is both a good and bad thing. Like you can rely on the fact that most of the time, anybody in the community that wants to do something with the building will get approved, because Freeman does do that. Like there's this level of Freeman does give back to the community even though he doesn't live there anymore. For a fact that like if Freeman sends this particular building inspector, it's probably going to get approved, even to like members of the community that might not have gotten something approved type situation. Like he's playing the politics at the level to make sure people get what they want. The original contract was for a local construction company, so they did all the building for it. But for a fact when you get to like the shed, there's not cellar doors there. Mm-hmm. They don't exist on the plans. They are clearly not there. It is something that is not listed in that way, shape, or form.
Good to know. Okay.
I call that an oversight, but that's suspicious.
Yeah, no. I can probably scrounge up some extension cords, get into, the ground floor so we can use these tools to get in to the cellar. But if there's someone back there, they're going to know we're coming because they are not quiet.
Well, that's why you have the rifle.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Most people avoid the place anyway, so I'm not too worried about people coming towards us from there, but...
Yeah. No one at the party's going to hear anything. The music's loud.
The music is loud. Are you guys looking to do this like as the party is moving towards like the 10, 11 o'clock hour where the most people are going to be out? The music's going to be blaring. It's a good cover for all that, for sure. The question is that what you're looking to do, you're thinking?
I think it's the move, right?
Okay.
It's got enough cover, yeah. I'll, give me a moment, and I'm going to see if I can cajole somebody that I can trust at the bar to, hey, run the bar for me for a little bit, and I'll pay you.
Give me a manipulation plus persuasion roll to see if you can persuade. You can even use your fast talking spec. See if you can persuade somebody. Can you see if you can find the person to trust and persuade them to do it?
Fantastic.
There's definitely plenty of people who work in restaurants and bars that like live around here. Yeah.
Oh no, he's looking for specifically somebody who he can trust. That was the key to that statement. If he had just been like, I'm sending the bar off to the person who's next in the chain of command, that's one thing. He is specifically giving control over to someone he thinks he can trust. That's a different conversation. Because he may or may not have just made an enemy. And now he's looking for people to trust.
That's 2 successes already and 2 exploding die.
There you go.
So 5 successes.
Okay. Yeah, no, you find like the line cook that's been there since before you were there, and they're like, sure, not a problem, yada yada yada. You leave them in charge, not a big deal. They do expect 4 days off next week, with 3 of them being paid. That's basically what you're paying for.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because you're literally leaving during one of the busiest times of the year. Like the block party is super busy. This is when people spend money. You are doing this during one of the busiest moments of the year.
4 days off, 3 paid. That's fine, but I need that fish fry on the day after you're back. Okay.
Not a problem. He's fine with that. They're fine with that. They are totally fine with that.
So, I see like King like tense up at like this about at like 3 days paid. It's like I'll chip in. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We got it. We need this.
I got resources too, man. I live comfortably middle class.
Yeah,
I think all 3 of you live comfortably middle class. Is what this world looks like right now. You are the middle class warriors of this area. So you get together all the things. You're taking your rifle, your power tools. You get over there. Do you take in anything else that's important that you might want to grab? If you have common sense, I can, of course, give you your recommendation per game session.
I'm taking my knife.
Yeah,
I do have common sense.
Yeah, I also have common sense. So I lost that. I'm bringing extension cords, a hammer to help me pull the nails off the boards on the windows,
flashlights. You're going down into a cellar. You might want to bring flashlights.
Flashlights. I'm assuming I have like the extension cords and flashlights and like batteries and stuff in the store. And an extra clip for both guns.
Sure. Sounds good. So you grab all those things. You head over. You get to the back of the you get the back, and you can see that once again. You all know when you left, you had not pushed together where the tables and the chairs were to cover this place up. You had left it open. The tables and the chairs are once again pushed in front of this place. And as you pull them back and maneuver them away, one of the doors to the cellar is already open. And it is black, and you can see some stairs that are made of stone heading down. And you steel yourselves before you step into the darkness. And that feels like a really good place to stop, because I'm that guy.
I think on that note, I think on the note, Alvin will tell them that somebody checked Larry out.
That's the best part. That's the best.
Oh yeah, by the way, Larry is in.
Hey guys,
like as
Larry's
we're seeing
the hospital.
As we're seeing the weirdness happen, he's just talking.
That's the best
time
to let us know.
That is you're about to step into the darkness. Also, Larry's out of the hospital, guys. What?
What? You're lucky I like Alvin. You're lucky I like Alvin.
That is the best. I couldn't have planned that any better.
What? Spelled HWHAT? What?
Yeah, what? Yes. All right. On that note, we can do some people and some outros and where people can find you. So I'm going to start with Ryan, and we're going to go there because Ryan is below me on the screen. So Ryan got first go to.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Ryan or Sphinx. You can find me lurking in people's channels around the space. Catch me on Twitter, SphinxRL. That's about it for right now.
All right. Who you want to pass the mic to?
Javante.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Javante. Normally speaking, you can find me over on Arclight Chord's channel, where I play Dior, the Black Arcanite Ranger, in their Power Rangers game. You can also find me on Pluto Cleric's channel, where I play Trini, the Pink Ranger, in the Power Rangers game. I'm in a lot of Power Rangers games, if you didn't already know. You can also, if you want to see me on the other side of the table, I DM a bunch of nostalgia-based games, including currently another Power Rangers game over on my Nostalgia Bait channel on my Twitter, which you can find at JHEVAUNTE. Coming later this month will be a casting call for the continuation of my Dante's Inferno game, Apocalypse, in which after the rapture has happened, how do you all survive in the end? When the game comes out, I'll be releasing my casting call for that. I'm very
Question
excited.
about that game.
Yes.
Can we play a Power Ranger?
No.
What's the point?
All right.
For the first
What's the point
time,
you're not saying?
it's not Power Rangers. And I have a couple other things coming up that I'm very excited to talk about when I'm able to.
Right. I feel we have last but definitely not least.
Yeah, Ruiz. You can catch me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Bohio Blues, BOHIO, and then the word blues, like the genre. Yeah, I am around in different people's channels. Nothing lined up yet, but I will, post and repost about it. I'm currently working on a game. It's going to be a little while until it's out. Current title is Nullus Rex Supra, No King Higher. What happens when the player characters are all members of the inner circle of a Greek king / Roman emperor, and what happens when that king kills and eats one of the gods? So dealing with the political fallout of that. Yeah, excited for that. Excited to check out everyone else's different things. Also excited to check out Apoc Chromatic Unlimited's Patreon. Go ahead and check that out with me. Yeah, and I'll throw it to our storyteller. This is great.
I'm Paul. You can find me here on Apochromatic. You can find me over on High Shelf Collective as well, doing some worldwide wrestling where I am helping some people learn how to do match pacing, because I have a lot of people that are really into this game, and I'm building match structures for them. We just started our heel stable. The next time that game will be February 15th. That's me revving up for that game right now.
I'm sorry.
That's not even from me. I just know I needed to say that. You can find me here, where I will probably be doing a more weekly Let's Play post Black History Month. You can also find me here on Thursday, where they're teaching me how to play Genshin with my account that I had since the game launched and then didn't do anything with. So you can watch Ashton and Max yell at me and tell me how much I suck. But this has been our not quite Hunter, but yeah, really turning into Hunter game here, as we can see as we end here. Into the deep, dark, dank caverns of the community center. And other than checking out the Patreon, which again, I was not threatened with physical violence. I was. Help me. No, I'm kidding. You should check out other things on Apochromatic, especially for Black History Month. We have some Nunshot stuff that just dropped with Mark J interviewing the creator of Corrupted in a 10-part series. Yes. We've got some upcoming Let's Plays with VJ and Honey and Dice. We've got a bunch of other things just coming down the pipeline. We're back. We're here. We're doing way more stuff this year. And we're just trying to keep the train going. So hopefully you can join us here and other places. That's what we have for this game. Join us again for the conclusion on the 26th, when I get back in town and we can discuss the horror that is in this cellar. And I'm very good to go. And so we'll see you all later. And we're just going to make somebody run a Power Rangers game when this is over, from what I feel. That's just happening. Not going to name names, but I feel there's a theme happening.
Listen, if y'all want me to run a POC Power Rangers game, I'm never saying no.
I mean,
can we all be the Black Ranger? Can we just play an all Black Ranger game?
Sure.
I'm down.
I would watch that. That would be amazing. That sounds
all right.
great.
See you all in a few weeks.
Peace.